Welcome to Midnight Whispers. I am here to share a very special story with you tonight. This is a true ghost encounter experienced by one of my friends. In this story, you will hear about her terrifying experience that may make your heart race and even keep you up at night. Please relax and get ready to listen to this chilling tale. The story takes place in an old and decrepit public restroom, nestled in a remote and desolate location. The abandoned building seemed to have been left untouched and uncared for, with the passing of many long and forlorn years. As I stepped inside, I was instantly struck by an eerie and unsettling feeling, as if something sinister and ominous lurked within. The air was filled with a damp and moldy odor, mixed with an unidentifiable and sickening smell that made my stomach churn. The floor was filthy and covered in a layer of grime, with strange and mysterious symbols etched onto the walls. As I walked towards one of the stalls, I suddenly heard a low and raspy voice coming from the other side of the wall. The voice was filled with a nervous and uneasy energy, making me feel like I was being watched by an unseen force. Despite my growing unease, I tried to ignore the voice and focus on my pressing need to use the restroom. But as I turned around to exit the stall, I was met with a horrifying sight. The wall behind me was painted in a deep, blood-red color, and a large, ominous handprint was visible in its center. The handprint seemed to be pulsating and almost alive, as if it had been painted with fresh blood. I was frozen with fear and could barely bring myself to move. As I looked around, I noticed that the other stalls were similarly adorned with red paint and handprints, some big and some small, each with blurry letters and numbers that seemed to have been etched by an unseen and malevolent force. Suddenly, a shadowy figure appeared on the wall, just beneath one of the handprints. The shadow was murky and indistinct, and its shape kept changing, as if it was a living, breathing entity. Trembling with fear, I rushed out of the public restroom as fast as I could, my mind filled with terror and confusion. As I looked back at the old and decrepit building, I noticed that the sign was faded and worn, with the letters and numbers barely legible. The public restroom seemed to be a place where time and sanity had long since vanished, leaving behind only a deep and abiding sense of dread and despair. A bone-chilling sensation ran down my spine, as though an unseen presence was tailing me until I arrived back at my hotel. The memory of the unnerving encounter replayed endlessly in my mind, preventing me from sleeping a wink throughout the night. The next morning, however, my curiosity got the better of me, and I resolved to return to the site to investigate what had occurred. Upon reaching the location, my apprehension only intensified, for the area had become even more ghastly. Red handprints adorned not only the walls but also peculiar objects and bloodstains strewn across the floor. A tingling sensation crept up my scalp, and it became increasingly difficult to breathe. I longed to flee, but it was as though my feet were anchored to the ground, making movement impossible. Suddenly, the voice of the man from before resounded through the air, although I could not see him. His words echoed hauntingly in my ears, revealing that this public restroom was a cryptic realm under the control of malevolent entities. He asserted that every person who entered would become trapped in a horrifying scene from which they could never escape. My fear escalated to a fever pitch, and I felt as though my throat had been constricted, rendering me unable to utter even a single sound. The shadowy figure reemerged, appearing to be growing more distinct and drawing nearer to me with each passing moment. In desperation, I shut my eyes tightly, sensing that I was on the verge of losing consciousness. I felt completely immobile, as if my body was wrapped up tightly in restraints. The man's voice echoed through the air, conveying the message that he had been held captive in this ominous place for an extensive period of time. He implored me to assist him in escaping. Fear began to well up inside me, but I was paralyzed with uncertainty and indecision. Suddenly, a faint murmur emanated from beneath the ground. The man also heard it and informed me that it was the entrance to the basement. I struggled mightily, attempting to break free from my constraints, but to no avail. My breathing became more rapid, and my physical strength rapidly declined. Just when I was on the brink of despair, a bolt of lightning struck the rooftop of the public restroom, causing the entire structure to shake violently. The man's voice instructed me to seize this opportunity, insisting that if we did not, we would remain trapped in this place for eternity. I exerted all my strength in a desperate attempt to free myself, making a break for the basement entrance. However, upon descending into the basement, I was met with a scene that was even more harrowing. Bizarre symbols and unsettling images adorned the walls, and human bones were scattered about. My stomach churned violently, and I was unable to control the urge to vomit. In that moment, I felt someone grab hold of my hand. When I turned around, I saw the man's face, which had contorted into a twisted, frightening expression. He warned me that this place was under the control of malevolent spirits, and we needed to find a means of escape, or else we would remain trapped forever. Despite the bleak outlook, I suddenly caught sight of a door with cryptic symbols etched upon it. Intuitively, I recognized it as our way out, and I rushed towards it with every ounce of strength I could muster. With all my might, I pushed the door open. As I emerged from that wretched public restroom, my entire body was trembling with relief and exhaustion. Yet, I also felt as though I had narrowly escaped from death itself. When I glanced back, I found that the public restroom had vanished into thin air, as if it had never existed. I didn't comprehend what had occurred, but I knew without a doubt that I would never set foot in that accursed place again. If you enjoyed this story, please don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more amazing and scary stories. Also, please click the like button to support our program. If you want to submit your own story, please send it to our address at midnightwhisper@gmail.com. Thank you for listening, and we'll see you next time.